10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Well, we're just going to jump right into it. Happy Monday, everybody. It's the RP Show, episode number 1707. Scruffy's with me. We've got breaking news in a lot of areas. The big news has to do with the NHL and the Vegas Golden Knights making a coaching change. We'll get into that in seconds. From the CFL, Chris Strebler retiring this morning out of Winnipeg. The Blue Jays are on fire. And in seconds, Mitchell Scruffy Blair will be joining us to break it all down. The ageless and fearless Mark Hebscher joining us in hour two, by the way. Iconic broadcaster, celebrated author Mark Hebscher will be with us in hour two. There he is. The Scruffalicious is with us. Mitch, we're going to get right down to it because this is a quick segment.
Whoa,
warm-up.
whoa.
Okay, what?
How
What do you
was
got?
New York City?
I'm going to get to that. I'll handle the topics
All
over
right.
here. No, it was amazing.
Okay.
Have you been to New York? I know you've been to Chicago.
No,
Have you
I
been
haven't.
to New York? Okay, well,
No.
you got to go. You got to go. And now it was fantastic. 2 quick hockey games, in and out. As you know, Mitch, that's my kind of thing. Breakfast with my buddy Craig Adam, and see you later. Back to the warmth here in South Florida. But yeah, it
Got your
was
luggage
NHL there.
back in one piece?
I don't check luggage. I learned that from Brian Maxwell way back. Your buddy Maxie. If you don't have to check a bag, don't. He says, I always know where my luggage is. Right under my ass.
There you
Okay.
go.
Aren't we cooking with gas to get this thing going today? Okay. The breaking news comes from the National Hockey League, which Mitchell informed me of yesterday. You did, Mitch. The Vegas Golden Knights are making a stunning late-season coaching change, firing Bruce Cassidy and replacing him with veteran bench boss John Tortorella. Vegas is solidly in a playoff spot, but the team has won only 3 of its last 10 games. So, listen, this did not surprise me at all. Everybody's going off shocked. Were you?
Initially, I was. But when you look back at the history of the Vegas Golden Knights, they have no qualms in getting rid of head coaches that have succeeded. Gerard Gallant, Peter DeBoer, and now Bruce Cassidy. Now, I would question the replacement, but
Okay.
I'll tell you what, they sent some shockwaves throughout the NHL with that decision.
You would question it, or you are questioning it, which is funny because I opened up.
I can't believe that they're replacing Bruce Cassidy with John Tortorella. Especially this late in the season.
I open up the
and
text line here.
I can only wonder what Mitch Marner's thinking, having seen that announcement come through yesterday.
I think Mitch Marner is the least of their problems, to be honest. But David, number 2 in Winnipeg, writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, Tortorella coming back coaching. I did not see that coming. Here's the thing. You would think, you and I have been around Kelly McCrimmon for years and years and years. This is what dawned on me yesterday as I was in LaGuardia Airport waiting to come back out of New York when this news went down. When I said I've never lost faith in the Golden Knights, I should reframe that, despite their struggles this year, Mitch, and say I've never lost faith in Kelly McCrimmon doing whatever it takes to win, period. End of story. I talked to my friends in the Golden Knights organization after this move was made. They told me a few things. Will Tortorella coach past this season? I don't know, but this is a wake-up call. It's perfectly timed. And for those that are saying that this is ruthless, listen, man, I've always said I could work for Kelly McCrimmon, no problem, because as long as you're doing your job and producing, you'll have no problems with Kelly McCrimmon. But the Golden Knights, Kelly waited and waited and waited and waited, and they weren't getting better. They weren't.
Roddy,
so, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for you when it comes to Kelly McCrimmon. And you know that I think Kelly McCrimmon is a top-notch individual just like you. His GM record in Brandon, his days there, that's the reason why the Wheat Kings are what they are. But is Kelly McCrimmon guilty of making some moves that has this team going downhill the past few years? Trading
Like
Logan Thompson was a mistake. The Rasmus Anderson trade has been a disaster. The team is not getting younger. And Mitch Marner has not played well this year after being a 100-point man in Toronto. He's on a career low pace for points. So how much of that falls on Kelly McCrimmon? Or is it the players and I know you can't basically replace all the players, but I think there's a lot more to this than just the record being what it is to make this change. I think Kelly has to take some blame here.
Well, I'm sure that he would. But number one, you ain't going to fire yourself. Nobody does.
No.
Number two, it's the GM's job to go grocery shopping. It's the coach's job to make the meal. So he went and gathered all the groceries, and the meal doesn't taste that good. You talk to anybody in the Golden Knights organization, for whatever reason, they say Logan Thompson had to go. I don't know why that is, but they felt that he had to go. Has he been? He didn't have Washington in the playoffs, so that's one. Two, Rasmus Andersson has not lived up to expectations. I never thought he was all that in Calgary. And by the way,
no, I didn't either.
No, I'm not sitting here defending Kelly. Kelly can speak for himself, but I just feel like he's assembled enough talent. We all know how good Mitch Marner is, and I don't think he's had a bad year. Shoot, he tied a Golden Knights record for assists this season in his first year in Vegas. So I think
Doesn't
Marner's
he have
fine.
like 71 points or something?
Well, he's got a lot of he could be better. It was his fastest. He tied David Perron for the fastest 50 assists in franchise history.
Okay.
So it's not a skills contest. I understand that, and I think any Leafs fan would sit here and say, "Oh, Marner's always good in a skills contest. You know, how is he when the chips are down?" I think we saw that in the Olympics. I think we saw that with the Four Nations face-off. So I appreciate what you're saying here about Krim and another way to look at it. But I'll say it again: you can't fire 20 players. You can fire one coach. You just alluded to that. Kelly's not going to fire himself. And on the Tortorella thing, well, Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in. He goes, he is a Stanley Cup winning coach. I don't get the Tortorella thing either. I don't get it at all, Mitch. But everybody that I know that knows him loves him. Everyone. So I'm trying to not go by what we see in the media. You know, they all love him. He was on the Olympic team, won a gold medal as an assistant coach with Team USA. So hang on, everybody. We'll get to the questions and comments when we come back. Monty in Saskatoon writes, and he says, in the NHL, it's a business. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, the poll questions for Country Thunder. Will John Tortorella save the Golden Knights? 73% of you saying no. Get ready for one of the biggest parties of the summer. Country Thunder returns to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson, Riley Green, and Creed. Plus an incredible lineup, including the Dead South, Gavin Adcock, Cameron Whitcomb, and more. Don't miss out. Get your tickets now at countrythunder.com/SK. They want us to broadcast from out there, Scruffy, if you're interested at all in joining us broadcasting. I know. It won't be like the old days. It won't be like the old days.
I'll keep you informed on that.
I'll guarantee you that it won't be like the old days. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Hold on tight, Moose Jaw. Professional bull riding is back. PBR Canada charges into the Temple Garden Centre April 25th. See the toughest riders take on the rankest bulls in a night of non-stop edge-of-your-seat action. Whether you're a diehard fan or brand new to PBR, this is one show you don't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at sastix.ca or at the box office. But don't wait, they'll sell fast. Professional Bull Riding Canada in Moose Jaw.
Proudly presented by Papikassis Developments Limited.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
The warm-up is brought to you by Neil Chark of Uniglobe Carefree Travel, the official travel partner of the RP Show, and the BC Lions. Calling all Canadian sports fans. Join Uniglobe Carefree's own Neil Chark for an action-packed weekend in Toronto, August 14th to the 17th, staying right in the heart of the city. This unbeatable package includes round-trip flights, 3 nights accommodation, plus 3 exciting major Canadian sporting events. 2 Toronto, New York baseball games, plus Saskatchewan, Hamilton football. Connect with Neil at uniglobecarefreetravel.com. People are all geeked up. They have a million questions and comments, and that's awesome. But just hang on. Scruffy, I never asked you what you would vote on in the poll for Country Thunder, Saskatchewan. Yes or no? Tortorella going to save the Golden Knights?
No. I don't think he will.
Okay. Well,
I think that they're going to end up playing the Oilers in the first round, and Edmonton will have home ice advantage. And I think, I don't know if they're much better than Edmonton right now, but I think Edmonton's got just a little bit more youth on their side. Like I said, that Vegas team, they're getting up there in age. But it'll be a good series. But neither one of them's beaten Colorado as far as I'm concerned, or Minnesota. Or Dallas.
Who knows? I'm starting to think about the playoffs. I don't know about you, but it's still going to come down to who's got the best goalie, who's got the best special teams. I'm so sick to death of that 5-on-5, 5-on-5. 5-on-5 isn't what wins playoff series in my mind. But we're not at anywhere close to the playoffs yet. So let's just hang on.
No,
and I
we're
could
a
sit
month
here
away.
Right. This David number 2 from Winnipeg has got all the great questions and comments. He says, how would you describe Tortorella's coaching style? And I've never doubted Kelly McCrimmon. I'm not going to start now. But with Tortorella, what is his legacy? I mean, you won a Stanley Cup, but that was 22 years ago, Mitchell.
Yep.
You know what? That's a long time ago.
And how many jobs has he had since then?
Well, Columbus, Vancouver, the Rangers, everywhere. Philly.
Right.
So
he's becoming the Mike Sillinger of head coaches.
I'll say it again. Can I write that down? Where's my pen? Scruffy's got that meme of the day. He's become, which, by the way, Silly's proud of. I would just like to put that out. He's proud of being the record holder.
Oh, I know he is. Absolutely he is. Yep.
That's a good one, Scruffy. You're good. By the way, I happened to be having breakfast in Times Square with Craig Adam yesterday when you texted me. I said, look at this, Peck. The top text on my phone. He goes, I like Scruffy. That was from Craig Adam yesterday. That's a direct quote. I like Scruffy. So, hey,
I haven't seen Craig in quite a while.
At least somebody.
But he's a good man.
Point two of the quick six. Listen, if you don't like what we're talking about, just hang on a couple minutes because we'll move on. There were plenty of fireworks on MLB opening weekend as 6 teams combined for 7 walk-off victories. Blue Jays did it twice. Cardinals, Reds, Mets, Braves, and Marlins notched 1 each. These teams are winless to open the season. Mitch, White Sox, Athletics, and the NL West trio of the Diamondbacks, Rockies, and Giants. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Blue Jays, Yankees, Marlins, Brewers, and Dodgers are the only undefeated teams left. 162-0, here we come. It was a pretty exciting opening weekend of baseball. I don't know how your Cubbies did. How'd they do?
Let's move on, Rod.
Oh, did they get shellacked?
Well, when the worst team in the National League comes, or the team that many think will be the worst team in the National League, comes into your building and takes 2 of 3, that's not good. Not good.
Well, the Blue Jays are on fire.
It's game 3 of 162. So,
from all the audience here, there's a ton of questions. It's awesome. It's what I want. Bob in Medicine Hat says, "Good day, Rod and Scruffy." Bob from Medicine Hat. What a weekend for the Habs. Have a great week. Everybody's excited about their teams, and those that aren't are down on their teams. We'll try to talk about as many of your teams as we can. But there is one thing before I get to March Madness, which I don't have a ton of interest in, but I know you do. And clearly some of your column readers do because they've commented in at Rod Pedersen about that.
No kidding.
Wayne in BC writes in, he says, "Good day, Rod and Scruffy and squad." He goes, "Well, I watched the UFL and was disappointed in the product. I can definitely see why these players are not in the NFL or CFL." Well, I watched it too. I guess it was Saturday night. I was in my hotel room in Times Square, Mitch, watching television, and the UFL game was on. And I beat Kevin 3-2 in UFL picks in week. We're making picks. But speaking of picks, the first play I saw was a pick. It was the Dallas-Houston. It was sloppy, but it was week 1. That's kind of what we expect, isn't it? Did you watch any of it?
No. All I saw of it was stuff I saw like on Twitter. I don't know what game it was, but there was nobody at it, which isn't good. And the 4-point field goal. And I don't know what to think of the 4-point field goal. Like, it's what, if it's anything 60 and over? Because I saw somebody nailed like a 53-yarder, and it only looked like it was a 3-pointer. Unless they got the graphic wrong. So, like, what, if it's 60 and over, it's a 4-point field goal? I don't know how I feel about the 4-point field goal, Rod.
I thought it was 50 and over, but sometimes they can get a little goofy with these innovative rule changes. But Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in, he goes, "I watched the Friday game. It wasn't terrible. Like, I sit and watch those kickoffs. I'm like, they innovated the kickoff rule that the NFL adopted it. I like the fact they got the balls to try something different. You know, the CFL's trying to do that and got those balls stepped on."
And like, again, and let's go back to baseball. You know, a couple of years ago, people wondered about the pitch clock and having a runner on second base to start extra innings. It lasted for a couple of weeks, and people went, "Yeah, I'm okay with that." And I think there was a lot of concern going into baseball on opening day about the automated ball and strike system. And now I think everybody is won over on that because it's fun when that happens now.
It's been one weekend.
Right,
so
but I
just
think
hang
that there
on.
was nobody complaining, and especially I think now we're seeing that the umpires are going to be held accountable. Hello, C.B. Buckner.
Well, I don't know, man.
It's too bad we did not get to see Angel Hernandez in the automated balls and strike system.
Well, you know how that
would
have
be
ended up.
tremendous.
You know how that. You say it's too bad because he would have looked even worse than he actually does or did, right? Because he was wrong all the time. Yeah, of course. But there was on average 3 challenges per game all weekend in MLB. I hope that comes down. The last thing we need is.
It only takes about 8 or 9 seconds, which makes me wonder why, like, baseball, it's like 8 or 9 seconds, we're good. Football, it's like, we're going to take a look at it frame by frame for 90 seconds, Then we're going to take a 3-minute commercial break, and we'll come back and tell you what the decision was. Like,
yeah.
Kane, they've got it done. Football, go get a drink, go to the bathroom, maybe run to 7-Eleven, get a big gulp, we'll come back with the decision.
Sure, because they're fiddle farting around over pass interference, which is not a black and white call. It still comes down to human, who is going to make the decision on that. By the way, John Ohm says, innovation in sports? What a concept, Batman. Utah Darren writes in, he says, 4-point field goals are 60-plus yards in the UFL. Thank you. Scruffy got it right. I thought it was 50. It's new this year, and they've played for 1 week, so let's just hang on. So, I don't know. That's the one thing we have to understand. The UFL, again, I watched it because it was on. Okay? It's on ESPN. It's on Fox. That's the one thing. It's up in front of your face here in America. So I'm watching. But, and I'll watch it because I'm a football fan. But, Mitch, everybody's into something different. I was so geeked up to go to Madison Square Garden yesterday for a lot of reasons. But number one, it was Sergei Bobrovsky versus Igor Shesterkin. Yeah, these two teams aren't going to make the playoffs, but what a salivating goaltender matchup. The two of the best Russian goalies in the game, Igor Shesterkin versus Sergei Bobrovsky, and they didn't let me down. But I'm not sure how many people get into that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know what the masses
being
want.
In a Ranger game? I know the Rangers
Ridiculous.
are bad this year, but what's it like being in a Ranger game with those fans? Because they look to be like New Yorkers.
I'm going to say this right now. I loved every single second of it. New York is a hockey town. Because I was sitting with some off-ice officials, and they were talking about some Pee-wee game on the weekend, and this is something that happened. Like, they talk hockey there. New York. That's number one. Number two, I'm walking around MSG. The video they show before the start of the game is jaw-dropping. And are you following Ron Duguay and his fight with the Rangers? Are we following that?
I've seen snippets of it.
Okay, well, I texted
not the
Duke.
whole chapters, though.
I just texted him. I said, you appear twice in the Rangers intro video, so just pipe down for a second. Because he's got this war going on with the Rangers. I said, you're in their video. He writes me back, I'm surprised. And then, oh, I know. He's a beauty. And then walking around the concourse, which you've done at the Saddledome, it reminded me of the Saddledome for narrow and cramped. I'm like, wait a minute. Bettman said the Saddledome's too cramped, the concourses. Here it's at least as cramped. Maybe, oh, wait, it's New York. So they can get away with it, right? And on that video at the start, there's a quote from Mark Messier. He says, Madison Square Garden, you feel the vibe the second you walk in the door. It's up.
Are you like me? You talk about the concourse. When you go to a stadium, and obviously you've been to a lot of Panther games, so you probably don't do it anymore. But whenever I go to a hockey game or a football game or a baseball game, whatever, and it doesn't matter if I've been there more than once, I've always got to walk around the concourse or the building just to get the feel, because that's one of the best parts of the game is before it actually starts, is just seeing the environment around you.
I call them loser laps. I do it everywhere. I was at the Blue Jays park in Dunedin last year with Brent from Wellington, Florida. I said, you want to do some loser laps? He's like, excuse me? I said, let's go for a tour. Yeah, let's go. Ran into Ron Pugsley. Ran into Ron Pugsley from Regina and Derek Picton on a loser lap. Funny who I do it everywhere. Yeah, so you asked me how the New Yorkers are. You wouldn't know the Rangers are dead last in the East. And you wouldn't want to rub that in any of their fans' faces, man. That's a tough crowd. It's a tough town. Yeah, it's a wonderful place. 902-518-3033. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, but the concourse is all marble. Sure. No, it's awesome. I'm just saying it's cramped. But the other thing is, like, the lighting, Mitch. It's got the white ceiling, and they flash the red and the blue lights, and then on the ice, I'm like, oh, this is the best of the best of the best of the world in terms of entertainment. And that's why I wanted to go. That's why I want. And UBS Center in UBS Arena on Long Island isn't MSG, but it's brand new. And
it's like what, 2-3 years old?
Probably 5 years old, because I obviously didn't read my column, Mitch. Thanks a lot, Mitch. 2021 it opened because Clark Gillies invited me down. He goes, you got to come and see this.
Right.
And in 2022, Clark passed.
Yep.
So don't think I wasn't thinking of big number 9.
Well, I saw your picture of the banner.
There. Yeah. Oh, my God. Jason in Red Deer says, did you get a good slice of pizza somewhere? Did I get one? That's all I had. I went to the same place every day. I'm like, buddy, I'll be back tomorrow to try this and this and this. He's like, okay, buddy. Okay, pal.
Meatball son.
Go watch a Flintstones episode sometime, Mitch. I swear they're all from New York. Joe Rockhead. They all have a New York accent on Flintstones.
Yeah, they know they do.
John
Flintstones.
John Ohm says, Ron Duguay rocks. I need to meet him one day. He's in a cancer battle, for those that are asking, but you wouldn't know it to look at him. He looks like $1 million, and we keep in touch regularly, and he's a very, very, very special guy. Utah Darren writes in, he says, I must be terribly sick. I show up at least an hour before the game to take a tour. Why wouldn't you? You're buying the tickets, soak up every single second of it. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm totally like that. Okay, we'll continue this when we return. Bye, Scrappy. Mitch will be right back with us after this break here on Game Plus TV and WQVZ Radio.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Hold on tight, Moose Jaw. Professional bull riding is back. PBR Canada charges into the Temple Garden Centre April 25th. See the toughest riders take on the rankest bulls in a night of non-stop edge-of-your-seat action. Whether you're a die-hard fan or brand new to PBR, this is one show you don't want to miss. Tickets are on sale now at sastix.ca or at the box office. But don't wait, they'll sell fast. Professional Bull Riding Canada in Moose Jaw.
Proudly presented by Papikasi's Developments Limited.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your rebel, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got a lot of comments coming in. Everybody's in a great mood today. Start the week. I love that. By the way, Mark Hebscher is going to be with us in hour 2, brought to you by Prairie Panels. Our guest segments. Prairie Panels is a Saskatchewan-based company specializing in high-quality construction panels and engineered building solutions, whether it's for agricultural buildings, shop construction, or commercial projects. Prairie Panels brings innovative, durable products backed by local expertise. If you're looking for building materials you can trust, from steel panels to structural solutions, be sure to check them out, prairiepanels.ca. Again, Mark Hebsy, he's a legend. Scruffy, I know that you're a fan of his. You read this book, right, Mitch? For anybody that
just hold on.
You have it?
Yep, there it is.
Mitchell goes to get it. Hey, we matching bookies. Well, I don't want to sit and rail on how bad in some ways the media is now. It just is. I appreciate those that have tuned in here for getting the real stuff. What about the Vancouver Canucks reporter? I shouldn't laugh. That was kicked out of the rink in the middle of the game. And his press pass.
What?
Did you see that? Yeah. Go look it up. Go to awfulannouncing.com because it's a reporter. I feel bad. I don't know his name. He follows me on Twitter. I follow him. Can't remember his name. From the Hive.
Reporter or just like a blogger?
What would you call the Hive? You've heard of it? He's from the Hive.
Okay.
I don't know if it's well, you remember the Hive?
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about, but it's not like a radio station or like a TV station.
No. But he's a writer for that,
not,
and he wrote a story that involved a company was in trouble legally in the U.S. owned by the Aquilinis, the Canucks owners, and he had his press pass pulled. I'll talk about this more later because yeah, it happened, and I'm like, well, what did you think was going to happen, kid? What does that have to do with covering the Vancouver Canucks and their game, right? Like, if you want to be Woodward and Bernstein, go ahead. But there's a price to pay in today's sports world, okay? That's all I'm going to say on that. Since you're here, Mitch, point 3. We're only getting to point 3. It truly was March Madness. UConn's first-year shooter, Braylon Mullins, heaved the ball with 0.4 seconds to go. In the Elite 8 game Sunday, the ball hit the twine, and UConn eliminated Duke 72-70. To get to the Final Four in miraculous fashion. After 4 rounds, 64 teams have been sent home, and 4 remain in March Madness. Connecticut, Arizona, Michigan, and Illinois are en route to Indianapolis to try to win it all. By the way, my bracket's alive in terms of I have Michigan to win. I'm not sure who you have. But Duke's out. They were the number 1 seed. This has been a pretty good tournament, Mitch, from what I see.
It's been great, and I've had a lot of people say that the tournament's boring this year because the teams that are supposed to win are winning. There was a stat on one of yesterday's games, it may have been one of Friday's games, about games that have been decided by 10 or less in this tournament. There's been a lot of them. And that game yesterday between Duke and UConn, Roddy, there's not a lot of times when I'll be sitting here watching a game on television and all of a sudden I'll scream at the TV. Maybe if there's like a huge hit in a football game, you'll get a oh or whatever. But when Mullins hit that 3-pointer to beat Duke, it was like an oh my God, just like the rest of the world that was watching that game. That will be a shot that will go down in infamy in the history of this tournament. And
sure,
we've got 4 great teams left. I've got 2 of my Final 4, Michigan and Arizona. I have Michigan winning. I had them beating Houston in the final, but Houston's done. And I think we're going to see an all Big Ten final because I think Illinois will beat Connecticut, and I think Michigan will beat Arizona. I watched a lot of Big Ten basketball this year, and the Big Ten was the big winner of March Madness because they had a lot of teams in the Elite 8. And I think that Michigan-Illinois will be a fantastic final.
Like I said, I've got 3 of 4 in my bracket, and I filled it out through AI because I don't know anything. I'm going to actually win something. Rhonda from the Frontier City writes in, and she says, Duke loses? What the hell? I thought they were never to be beat this year. I wonder how much money was lost on that game last night. And won. Well, TK wins.
Well, I know how much was won in this house.
Yeah, TK wins, sports betting expert, was on with us a few weeks ago, and he's like, I don't see anybody beating Duke in this thing, and they're out. And TK does this for a living. So when people say it's boring, it's not boring. Upsets are what's exciting. Last year was boring. So, yeah. So there's that.
Yes, last year was.
We did talk about opening weekend in the UFL. And listen, I feel like it's kind of hard to avoid. For me, it's hard to avoid because it's on ESPN and Fox. And the reason I bring it up again is Wayne in BC writes, and he says, hey, guys, is there anyone in the UFL that could make a 60-yard field goal? Well, we're going to find out. That's why they put the rule in. That's why we need to watch the
somebody
games.
did because he hit one.
Oh, did he hit one? Okay. I didn't see that. But, yeah. So did it even cross your screen? UFL week 1.
Not really. By the way, speaking of the 4-point field goal, our good friend, Vintage Sasko,
yes,
said that Paul McCallum kicked a 4-point, 60-yard field goal.
I called it.
When he played for the Scottish Claymores in the World Football League.
He kicked a 62-yard field goal, which was later amended to a 63-yard field goal with the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
But it was a 4-point kick is what I'm saying.
It would have been.
Yeah. No, it was in the WFL when he played for the Scottish
they had that rule there? They had that rule there?
I didn't know that.
Okay. How about, speak of the devil. Vintage Sasko has written in, Mitch, on the Western Dodge text line. He says, hey, Father Rod and Maniac Mitch. He says, I'd sell my third nipple to see Craig Adam on the RP show. Signed, Sportsline Sasko. Let's put it this way. I've invited Craig Adam to come on the show. In the past, he's a very, very, very busy guy selling houses, right? So he's like, I don't want to come on.
Yeah, when you're Regina's best realtor, he's a little busy.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to come on and embarrass myself. I said, doesn't stop Mitch. He didn't say that. I'm just throwing that in there. Or the host. Exactly. No, he didn't say that. But anyways, he's like, let me get up on it because he's like, once the Stanley Cup playoffs start, everybody's going to be into it, right? But he was in New York on business and this and that. And, yeah, of course, we were going to line up together. But I appreciate you reminding me on that.
Did you know he was going?
No.
Okay.
I had posted a photo that I was in an airport waiting to go to LaGuardia, and he sent me a photo from Toronto. He's like, I'm going to the same place. And that was like on Friday. And then, of course, we linked up together. We're longtime chums, as you know. Okay, we only got a couple minutes left here in this segment. I'll carry everything else after. What else you got, Mitch? What's on your mind? What's popping?
Nothing really. It sounds like the NFL is going to go to an 18-game season. And I think unless I'm wrong, I think there's another league that plays football that plays an 18-game season. So I'm not really sure what the problem is there. It's going to create more revenue, and like the NFL needs more revenue. But I am a little worried about the fact that they're going to be hiring referees, and they're already taking that step because it looks like the NFL refs that we know, love, and criticize are going to be walking off the job because there's labor unrest there. And that's not going to be good. And I don't know if we're going to have another situation like the Fail-Berry when Seattle beat Green Bay a few years ago to get the officials back. But the NFL, with everything that they have, they need to come to an agreement with their officials.
But they're not going to.
Because they don't want to start watering down and denigrating the product.
Well, dude, we're going to have to pick this up again tomorrow. But there will be news tomorrow that you and I can talk about because the NFL meetings are going on in Phoenix right now. And the news coming out of there is, number one, the Super Bowl is going to be awarded to Las Vegas again. And number two, I think you just said it, they're training refs. I almost said the S word, replacement refs. You know what the S word is when I say that. I've never been part of a union, and you either. We worked in broadcasting our whole lives. So I don't know where to stand. The fact that we didn't have a union is probably what landed me in therapy for years after the fact. I wish we had a union. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure whether I'm pro or against union, but what I will say is, guys, don't get greedy because they're this close to punting your asses as it is with robots and cameras.
Yep.
Do you agree?
No, I do. No, I don't know how a robot's going to call a hold or a pass interference or something like that, but Yeah, like if they can find a way, they'll do it.
They'll put a camera on it, and they'll have some guy in a booth in an office in downtown New York make the call.
Yep.
That's how they'll do it.
Like, look at
and they
baseball
won't need
now.
these
Like
guys.
what we talked about with the ABS, now some people are saying we just need an umpire behind the plate to say if the runner's safe or out.
That's what I'm saying. So don't get greedy with the NFL's offering you a raise as it is. Okay. Thanks, Mitch. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Have fun with Hebsy.
RP Show continues right after this on Game Plus TV.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show, brought to you in part in hour one by our friend Tony Plater and his company Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. From strategic communications to leadership training and conversational content, we help your message connect and inspire. I feel like now would be a good time to re-up the quick six show topics, what we've been talking about today. Number one, John Tortorella is the new head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights. Scruffy put it really well. Not saying that Bruce Cassidy shouldn't have been fired, but Torts? The poll question by our brand new sponsor, Country Thunder Saskatchewan, is will John Tortorella save the Golden Knights 73% saying no, he will not on Twitter, and over 80% on YouTube saying no, he will not. I'm going to say yes, because you know why? He has to. That's why he was brought in. So that's number one. Country Thunder. You'll be hearing a lot more about Country Thunder. And it sounds like we'll be broadcasting from there this summer. That'll be fun. 902-518-3033. Nice job on that, producer Corey. This will not be hard, filling in the rest of this hour and next hour with sports talk coming out of the weekend. Two things. Where the heck is it? Laverne in the Frontier City writes in, says, hey, Rod, hope you had a good weekend. I do want to recap my weekend in a second, a little more of the New York trip. But Laverne says, it seems like the pitch clock is old school already compared to ABS, automated balls and strikes, this year. I kind of like ABS. I think it'll make umpires better in the long run. I guess we'll see where it goes, won't we? Jeff, the Stamps fan, said it here. He says, we're all going to be AI eventually. He says, this show could be AI for all I know. And he goes, and I could be AI for all anyone else knows. I'm quoting him. I think we're okay there. I know this. People have been talking about me getting back into play-by-play. I may not, but I know that there's software and systems being developed to have male, female voice, call games, so you don't need to hire a live person in the booth. I don't know. I was doing a baseball game. I mentioned this a few weeks back here in Florida, public address announcing. And the gal that was scorekeeping, Lisa, turned to me and she goes, you're going to be replaced by AI. I said, not well. She goes, that's true. So I'm pretty sure you're not going to get this. How could they predict what I'm going to say when I don't know what I'm going to say? This show is AI proof. I'm talking about artificial intelligence. No kidding. Mathematician writes in, he says, the Blue Jays games felt like we jumped right into playoff ball. Jays, one of many about 5 or 6 teams coming out of the weekend that went 3-0, including the Yankees and the Marlins. Mark Hebscher joining us in hour 2. Part of the reason Hebsy's joining us from Toronto is that I've been really enjoying his baseball takes on Twitter. Hebsy knows his stuff. He'll be with us in hour 2. Longtime iconic broadcaster, now author. See if he's hit the bestseller stratosphere yet. On the Tortorella thing, I'm not totally done on the change there. What should I say? We're all allowed to have opinions. That's what makes the world go around. But they're not worth anything. And to be honest, when I stand there like I did Saturday in the bowels of UBS Arena in Long Island, right beside Paul Maurice, and he's explaining what just went down on that hockey game where they lost 5-2 to the Islanders, I'm like, I'm so dumb. And that's supposed to be my sport, hockey. But they say there's guys playing checkers, there's guys playing chess, and then you got Paul Maurice playing 3D chess. So to sit here and think anybody knows more than Kelly McCrimmon, what's going on with his team, it's offensive to him. The guy knows, or that John Tortorella, is he the right guy? Well, Kelly thinks that he is. So that's why I'm voting yes. He will save the Golden Knights. I've only watched a couple games this year, and the game of theirs, and the games that they've lost, the goaltending's let them down. Again, if I was the Golden Knights, I would have went out and got Sergei Bobrovsky, but Bob didn't want to leave and blah, 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 blah. It's a longer story than what we have here. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, gutsy to change coaches this late in the season. Yeah, but I mean, that's when it works. 8 games left. I feel like a lot of these teams, like LA, for instance, fired Jim Hiller a couple of games after the Olympic break. I felt like they wanted to take a breather, come back after the Olympic break and see if anything changed. It didn't change with the Kings. It didn't change with the Golden Knights. So they made their changes. Isn't it funny, though, because we waited all year for a coaching change, and it didn't happen until late January. The first one was Columbus, and look what they've done. All of a sudden, they're in a playoff spot. That's what Kelly's hoping will happen with John Tortorella right on the eve of the playoffs, because they're going to make the playoffs. And sometimes you need to light a stick of dynamite, toss it in the room. And this is what it is. I haven't talked to Bruce Cassidy since this change, but from what I understand, he gets it. He gets it. They haven't been winning. He's been around and has been fired multiple times. That's the other thing that talking about this book that Hebsy wrote. What is it? The Rise and Ruin of Sports Media. There's good people in the media. There's some really bad people in the media. And I see both sides saying, oh, how ruthless of the Golden Knights. What do you think this is? He's not checking items at the Walmart till. There's a little thing here about production. I don't understand what people expected them to do. Ooh, I didn't get to the sports update yet. I'm just having too much fun talking to you people. 902-518-3033. Paul, right, where are you, Paul? Paul in Winnipeg writes in. He says, hi, Rod. Why is the coach always the fall guy? I think we should be looking at the GM, especially with the replacement for Cassidy. Kelly McCrimmon has earned his stripes as the general manager of the Golden Knights. You're not going to fire yourself. We addressed this earlier. Why is the coach always the fall guy? Because you can't fire 20 players, but you can fire one coach. That's never changed. It just happens more now than ever before. That's the answer. GM's not going to fire themselves. Kelly's got, believe me, the stripes within the ownership with Bill Foley. He's good. And by the way, this move would have had to have gone through Bill Foley, the owner. You know what? Can we write it down? March 30th. Let's wait and see how this all plays out before we say who should be fired or who's really at fault. Paul, you obviously just tuned in. I said earlier, all along, if you watch this show every day, I've said I've got faith in the Golden Knights. I'm not packing the tent on them. And when that news came down, I was standing in the airport, LaGuardia, New York. Mitch Scruffy texted me and said it happened. And I said, who's reporting it? He's like, the Golden Knights. Oh, right then, I had this thought that it's not that I didn't lose faith in the Golden Knights. I will never lose faith in Kelly McCrimmon, period. Doing whatever it takes to win. He's not worried about people's feelings. Look, I am not going to name the team because it'll out my friends, but I've got friends on other teams where they talk about this. Oh, wouldn't want to work for Vegas. One mistake, you're out. I'm like, well, look at your team. Yeah, you got job security. You never win. Oh, yeah. That is a thing, just so you know. 902-518-3033. Jeff the Stamps fan writes, and he says, are we talking about TW today? Probably not, because I don't even know what that is. Sports update for Ultimate Fan Zone. The Final Four is set. Illinois will face UConn, and Michigan will take on Arizona next Saturday, with the winner scoring off 2 nights later for the national title. The Arizona-Michigan game is a matchup of top seeds. UConn is seeded second and will play number 3 seed Illinois. Arizona is the early favorite to take the title next Monday night in Indianapolis, according to BetMGM Sportsbook. Meanwhile, as we were talking about earlier, the NFL is moving forward with plans to begin hiring and training replacement officials in the next several weeks because negotiations with the referees union have been unsuccessful. The league and the NFL Referees Association have been negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement since the summer of 2024. The NFL has increased its offer to 6.45% annual growth rate in compensation over a 6-year labor deal, but the Refs Association wants 10% plus $2.5 million for marketing fees. Their people, whatever the hell that even is. That's that jar of money that they marketing money that they threw at Nathan Rourke when they hit the cap. Clearly, I don't have a dog in that hunt, but I'm just like, don't get greedy, guys. That's what I would say. They're offering you a raise, I don't know, 6.45, not bad, every year. That's more than most people get. And you're on the cusp of being replaced by AI as it is, I'd take the deal. It's just me. Sports update brought to you by the Ultimate Fan Zone. Your team, your colors, your gear. Get it all at the Ultimate Fan Zone sports store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. It's a fun time in sports right now. The NHL's in its home stretch. The Blue Jays are hot. Mark Hebscher is going to join us to talk about that, this NFL stuff too. He's not short on opinions. That's what made guys like him and this show great. So that's coming up in hour 2, plus more of this, everybody. So stick around. Get your questions and comments in. 902-518-3033. We'll be sure to read them. We have our NHL picks coming up as well for Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon. We'll be right back for hour 2 right after this timeout.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Rockin' and rolling into a brand new week on the RP Show, welcoming viewers across Nevada on Silver State Sports, and welcoming again for hour 2 of the program the viewers across Canada and 33 states on Game Plus TV. Maybe you're watching on the live stream. Welcome. Podcast form, WQVC. Settle in. What I will tell you, if you've joined us late or you are just joining us, everybody's in a good mood largely around here in terms of our viewing base. We've got a lot to cover here as we roll on. Coming out of the weekend, Mark Hebscher will be with us. Why am I keep setting this down? The infamous Hebsy will be with us in the guest segment today, brought to you by Prairie Panels. He wrote this book, The Rise and Ruin of Sports Media. Mark Hebscher, and he is an iconic Toronto sportscaster, now an author, as you see. And we're going to be talking MLB with him, some NHL, and all the rest. And I guess before I get into the quick 6 show topics, proudly presented by Neil Chark of Uniglobe Carefree Travel, the official travel partner of the RP Show, and the BC Lions. The viewers were asking how my weekend was, and for the benefit of the Nevada viewers who just tuned in, New York, as you know, is a very special place. And for more on my weekend, because there's a lot of more important things to get to, but I looked at that schedule, March 20, whatever the dates were, 28th, 29th, Florida Panthers at New York Islanders Saturday at 1, Florida Panthers at New York Rangers Sunday at 1. Boom, sign me up, quick flight, bing, 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 South Florida up to LaGuardia, in and out. AI, we were talking about that in hour 1. AI is a wonderful thing. I type into ChatGPT, what's the security lineups at TSA at the airports? 5 to 10 minutes in Fort Lauderdale, at most 50. Okay, good. It is a wonderful thing if it's used for the right thing, similar to LSD, but we won't go there. 902-518-3033 again is the text line. Kirk in Toronto writing into troll. Hey, Rod, how about the Florida Panthers? Don't cry because it's over. Be happy that it happened, as you always say. Bro, it's 1 year, not your Leafs. I don't need to bring up 1960. The Panthers will be back, but this today is not the Panthers show. As a matter of fact, the big story. We lead off every day with a big story. The Vegas Golden Knights are making a stunning late-season coaching change, firing Bruce Cassidy and replacing him with veteran bench boss John Tortorella. Vegas is solidly in a playoff spot, though the team has only won 3 of their last 10 games. It's what everybody's talking about in my world. And we'll get into this with Hebsy next break, too. I just kind of sit here. You have to understand, I should probably write my own headlines. I'm just too lazy because it's not that stunning to me. If you've been paying attention to the Golden Knights, which we do, we've been doing it all year. They've been underachieving all year. I've watched, I'm an expert on Golden Knights hockey because I've watched 3 or 4 of their games. Every one that I watch, however, their goaltending has let them down. There's a lot of things that have not gone right for the hockey team. And we waited until post-Christmas for any coach firings in the NHL. And all of a sudden they're coming like crazy. And Vegas is the latest one with 8 games to go. I mean, I've said it so many times, I feel like I'm repeating myself. I don't want to bore you. But this general manager of the Golden Knights, I remember when he fired Gerard Gallant after taking them to the Stanley Cup in their first year. He's like, if you want to blame somebody, blame me. Look at me. I'm making this decision. Right? And then they bring in Peter DeBoer. That didn't work. Fire him. Then they bring in Bruce Cassidy and they win. And now it's not working now. I mean, what did Paul Maurice said it last week when he was addressing coaching his 2000th game. He actually quoted Mike Keenan. He goes, it's not did you win or did you lose, is are you winning or are you losing? That's what matters. The Vegas Golden Knights aren't winning. And Kelly McCrimmon had seen enough. He feels a change needs to be made. And we'll see what happens. The Golden Knights are home to Vancouver. Perfect slump buster for the Golden Knights in the debut of John Tortorella. Now, hiring Torts, that's where everybody's going, won a Stanley Cup, but in 2004 with Tampa Bay. But I will say this. I've never met him. Don't know him at all. But every single person I know that knows him swears by him. There are some players that don't like him, but did you like all your coaches? I don't care what the players say. But if the hockey people swear by John Tortorella, that's good enough for me, and they do. The poll question today for our brand new sponsor, Country Thunder, is will John Tortorella save the Vegas Golden Knights? 73% of you saying no, he won't. Well, put me in the 27%. I'm going to say yes because he has to. And I have faith in the general manager, Kelly McCrimmon. Call me crazy. We'll see how this all turns out. I want to come back to this March 30th, and we'll see. So our daily poll that we do is brought to you by Country Thunder. Get ready for one of the biggest parties of the summer. Country Thunder returns to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson, Riley Green, and Creed. Plus an incredible lineup, including The Dead South, Gavin Adcock, Cameron Whitcomb, and more. Don't miss out. Get your tickets now at countrythunder.com/SK. There's a rumor that the RP show will be broadcasting live from Country Thunder this July, so get ready for that. Okay, we'll come back. I haven't even talked really about the weekend stuff coming out of the National Hockey League, and I want to do that. But Mark Hebscher is coming up next. We got to get to all these things before Hebsy joins us. Point two, the quick six. There were plenty of fireworks on MLB opening weekend. 6 teams combined for 7 walk-off victories. The Blue Jays did it twice. And this is the rub. We're sitting here airing in Nevada on the same channel that airs Athletics games. And the Athletics got swept by the Toronto Blue Jays with 2 walk-off victories. Cardinals, Reds, Mets, Braves, and Marlins notched 1 each. So coming out of the weekend, the opening weekend, the winless teams in MLB are the White Sox and Athletics. And in the NL, 3 teams from the NL West, Diamondbacks, Rockies, and Giants. Unbeaten teams coming out of the weekend, the Toronto Blue Jays, New York Yankees, Miami Marlins, Brewers, and Dodgers. Are those surprising? Some of them, for sure. I'm sitting there in New York having the time of my life, totally focused on hockey. And it's very hard to not notice what was coming out of Rogers Center in Toronto with Kevin Gausman lighting it up. Friday night, Dylan Cease setting a record. Was it not a record? 12 strikeouts in his is that Blue Jays record for strikeouts in your Blue Jays debut? 12 for Dylan Cease. Yes, the Blue Jays have come out of the gate very hot. I'll caution everybody, we have a very long ways to go. But I guess that was Dylan Cease's Blue Jays debut, as I said, and I saw a quote from him saying that the vibe in Rogers Center contributes to the home team playing well. And I'm like, especially there. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But we'll see. The Athletics are at the A's tonight. Blue Jays home again to Colorado. I don't think we're basing anything, I would hope, on one weekend of baseball. For some teams, it looked great. For some teams, it did not. New series opening up today. Yeah, I get this. Everybody's talking about the AI, the ABS, automatic balls and strikes. I'll tell you, one of the greatest pleasures of my life was getting involved in the baseball broadcasting, coming back for my 3rd season. It's NCAA baseball, and just learning about the game. In that 11 strikeouts in a game are miraculous. 12 is almost unheard of. 8, 9's a great outing. So I guess if you're throwing gas at the front end of your lineup, as far as a pitching rotation, you don't really got to worry about the bullpen. At some point, hopefully that's not a factor for the Blue Jays, but we got a long ways to go. Where is this here? The Bar Flies writes in, watching in Winnipeg, and says, is McCrimmon just punishing his team for not performing? I hardly think Mitch Marner is going to thrive under Torts. Again, it's March 30th. So I guess we will just sit back and see how this all plays out. I think the timing of this is very interesting. With 8 games to go until the playoffs, including tonight's game against the Vancouver Canucks. It's the perfect timing, I guess, if it works out, right? I would say bottom line, when you look at that Vegas team, that roster, they're better than what their record indicates. The guy wrote in here earlier from Winnipeg and said, why is the coach always the fall guy? Well, it's his responsibility to win, especially when the general manager feels that he's put together a lineup of a team that's capable of winning. I don't feel like Bruce Cassidy was surprised, just so you know, that he was let go as head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights. Arlen Bruce checks in. We welcome the regular members of the Rod Squad. Arlen Bruce, former Kansas City Chiefs receiver, two-time Grey Cup champion. He says, great day, RP. My son, Arlen Bruce IV, had a solid first game in the IFL. Plays for the Arizona Rattlers. He had a 50-yard touchdown and a 10-yard touchdown and a victory. And it's only week 1. Let's get Arlen Bruce IV into the Canadian Football League. That's what we need to do. I'm actually shocked it hasn't happened yet. He's got NFL talent. Point 3, it truly was March Madness. UConn's first-year shooter, Braylon Mullins, heaved the ball with 0.4 seconds to go in the Elite Eight game Sunday. The ball hit the twine. UConn eliminated Duke 72-70 to get to the Final Four in miraculous fashion. After 4 rounds, 64 teams have been sent home, and 4 remain in men's March Madness. Connecticut, Arizona, Michigan, and Illinois are en route to Indianapolis to try and win it all. In the women's tournament, UConn and UCLA advanced to the Final Four with victories on Sunday, the other 2 teams being decided today. I will say this, whether you're into March Madness or you're not, it's not like the long, grueling 162-game baseball season or the NFL season, which has been added. They're going to 18 games, which we knew that they would. It's quick. It's fast. It's the one thing with having worked now in NCAA, football, baseball, a little hockey. Those college sports operators might be the sharpest sports operators in all the sports. NCAA. I'm not joking. They get it right. So again, if you don't like March Madness, it'll be over soon. If you do, it's been awesome. Jason in Red Deer writes, and he says, did you tour any other sports venues while in the Big Apple? No, I did not. And that's funny because it's 1:11 Eastern. Thank you, Carlos, in Indianapolis, for pointing that out. Where's the bell? 1:11. For those that observe, keep it positive and envision a positive outcome. It works. The last time, I was telling my advisor here this morning, Lisa, the last time I was in New York was 2017 for intervention training, where, you seen the TV show? Yeah, I do that. The intervention TV people were there at the training I was at. And a friend of mine who currently now is the offensive coordinator for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Mark Mueller, when he heard at that time that I was going to New York, he's like, are you going to go to some Yankees games? No. It was 10 hours every day of very intense training. I didn't have time to go to baseball games. And then this weekend when I went, flew in Friday night, the Panthers were playing the Islanders at 1 o'clock on Saturday. I got to the rink at 9 in the morning. Here's the one thing. I was ready to get home for a variety of reasons. I had a great time, but I was ready to get home after $170 for an Uber ride. What? My friend Chris from the Bronx, before I even left, he goes, how are you going to get around there? I said, Uber? He's like, that's why. If I wasn't so lazy, I could have figured out the subway system. Like, I'll just take Uber. $170 later, one way. After the game, I was about ready to ask the cop if I could borrow his horse to get home. Anyways, went to that game, saw the Matthew Tkachuk between his legs goal. And I'm not going to sit here, again, this ain't the Florida Panthers show, but the Panthers are so getting dumped on for tanking. And I'm like, why don't you go ask Sergei Bobrovsky if he's tanking, or go ask Matthew Tkachuk, who's playing his balls off, if they're tanking. Everybody else is hurt. I'm sitting there in MSG watching the pregame on the video. The next day, Sunday, the Panthers play the Rangers at 1. And they're like, here's who's not playing for the 2 teams. I'm looking at the Panthers list. I'm like, is Marchand playing? He's not on the list. Oh, here's page 2. That's how many people are injured for the Florida Panthers. So they're lucky to even be icing a lineup. And some nincompoops want to say that they're tanking. They ain't. They're just, hey, can you play? Get out here. Grab a jersey. John in Edmonton writes in. He says, why 9 a.m. in the morning? Why? Because I got up early, because that's what I do. And I had really nothing else to do. I got a coffee. I've never been to Long Island before. But I'll go out to the rink. And they opened the rink for me. How nice was that? There was really nobody there. So I'm going to sit in the rink, look at all the Islanders' retired jerseys in the rafters. all their championship, had a tour of the rink. That's just what makes me happy. Okay? There's other people. There's a lot of other things you could be doing in New York. But I wanted to go tour the facility, and I did, and I was so glad that I did. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, how about Trump Tower? No, I've been there before. I was not doing. I went for hockey, period. I got a buddy here, Randy. Well, he's from Fort Lauderdale, but he was up in New York. I was with him for a couple of days. I said, what'd you do last night? He goes, stayed in my room. I'm not walking around. It's freezing here. It's like -1 Celsius. Laverne in Swift Current writes in, he says, Department of Player Safety head George Paris will attend Monday night's Ducks and Leafs game. Anything going to happen there? Maybe we'll talk about that. We should talk about that with Hebsy next. Oh, Leafs pregame show? Why the hell not? We'll be right back after this brief pause. You're watching the RP Show. Mark Hebscher coming up next, the iconic broadcaster and author. We'll be right back. Silver State Sports and Game Plus TV.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote your effort, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, we're back. It is the RP show, and I've sent you Hebsy's number. You should have it on your phone. So there we go. Mark Hebscher trying to get logged in. That's the infamous look of trying to get logged in. So we have made contact with Mark Hebscher, which, by the way, I might as well read this right now. As co-anchor of the wildly popular show Sportsline on Global TV, the author of this book, Mark Hebscher helped revolutionize the way sports are presented on television. He spent 45 years in sports media as a host, interviewer, anchor, producer, and reporter. Mark is a true sports historian and a foremost expert on everything sports. That attitude shines through in his column, Hebsy on Sports, via his Substack page. He has 2 adult sons and resides in Toronto. He enjoys golf, music, and gardening. And why don't we say walks on the beach? It's who was it that wrote in here? I apologize. I don't know. It's going crazy. It's a Monday. There's a lot of things going on. Oh, George Paris is going to be in Anaheim tonight for the Leafs game. There is that what it is now? And then I just opened up Twitter in the break, and I see Bruce Cassidy spotted at the Pearson Airport. I'm like, oh my God. We'll get to the viewers' comments. Well, we got a lot for Hebsy here. Apparently his internet crapped out. What do we say about this show? The show where anything can happen at any time. The problem for me is it usually does. Scott in Vancouver says, Mark, what was the name of the female co-host you had on Sportsline? We'll get to that. I mean, I never even thought about this being a gong show tonight in Anaheim. It's probably nothing's going to happen. Do you remember, what was it, 2019? The big brawl for it all, the Oilers and the Flames, the 6-on-6, Mike Smith versus Cam Talbot, Cassian and Kachuk on Hockey Night in Canada. A lot of us were watching it live. And then when the two teams met the next time, George Paris flew in live to be at the game, and nothing happened. As a matter of fact, the fact that George Paris is going to be there tonight probably is why the NHL is sending him in there into Anaheim tonight, is to make sure that nothing happens, but it very rarely ever does. Carlos in Indiana writes in and says, good thing this show is great with audibles. Is it? Sometimes I wonder. 902-518-3033. We were going over the analytics the other day. A lady here, a business lady in Florida, asked for them, and like 1/2 of our podcast downloads are in Toronto. I got to think it's because people are sick of the Leaf talk. 5 seconds into me even seeing about Peros and Radko Gudas, and I'm sick of it. David, number 2 in Winnipeg, says $170 for an Uber. Where did you stay? In Buffalo? No, I stayed in Times Square at a place I always stay in. I can hear Hebsy. I can hear him saying testing 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Max in Toronto, for the sanity. Max writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, any Canadian being spotted at the Pearson Airport shouldn't be a surprise. It's a main connection if Cassidy's flying home. I don't know if we're ever going back.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're ever going back to normalcy. You let me know when Hebsy's ready, because I can hear him. I can hear Hebsy.
You want me to go somewhere in the house here? Because I'm in the basement.
You want to put him on?
Yeah. Come with me.
You want to throw up the video of Hebsy?
Come.
Okay, we see you, Hebsy.
You got me?
You're live. I got you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I love it.
Can you hear? Great.
You've never looked or sounded
live.
better, Hebsy. Yeah, we're on. Why not?
Beautiful.
Why not?
Well,
brother?
here I am in the best possible spot I could be in, so that we can connect together, because my internet's down and I got bubblegum and chicken wire. What's going on, RP?
Well, I wanted to talk about the damn Blue Jays, who are going to go 162-0, but the viewers say it's going to be a bloodbath at Anaheim tonight with the Ducks there. So, or at the Ducks. Where's your head, sports wise, today?
Oh my God! Well, the Leafs game isn't until way later. Okay, and like, who cares about that? It's the Blue Jays all the way. It's the entire country.
That's what I said.
It really
That's
is.
what I said.
Yeah, and I think during the Stanley Cup play, I'll tell you this: if all the Canadian teams were involved in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and the Blue Jays were playing, even though it's early in the season for baseball, that might be a tough. You'd have to have multi-screens going, right?
Well, especially these days. And I said earlier, the reason I wanted to get you on, I've really enjoyed your baseball takes on Twitter. I don't know if your baseball is your number one sport, but you sure know a hell of a lot about it. And I guess I'm just enjoying what you're putting on Twitter about that. No, to have everybody follow Hebsy later if you don't already, but that's just a hell of a start. So let's talk about the 3-0 Blue Jays.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they're going to start the season sweeping the A's, I would have likely gone, yeah, that's about right. And we're a better team. We have better pitching. We have better hitting. So Langoliers and Nick Kurtz aside, or a couple of other guys, we're a way better team. So we should sweep that team. And we should sweep Colorado as well. 162-0, of course, it's always fun, beginning of the season. You know this. Happens every spring. But here's the thing with this team. Like any other team, you got to stay healthy. With this team, you've got some depth. If somebody big goes down, you got some pretty good ball players out there. So I'm interested to see how this team evolves that way. We got tickets for the Dodgers next week, right? They're coming in. That's revenge. But it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But seriously, the vibe, people will be taking the day off work. They'll be skipping school. Because Dodger Blue Jay series, I don't care when, both teams were there. How many months ago was it? Not that many. This can be very exciting. So we got tickets for that game. We know that Dylan Cease is pitching for Toronto. Already, people have offered us way more money for our tickets for a baseball game in April.
I saw the quote from Cease from Saturday night. He basically said this atmosphere, when it gets rocking, makes an impact in the Blue Jays winning chances. There's no doubt. It wasn't always that way, but it is right now.
No. Yeah, it is. I'm going to switch. I want to show you the drywall and everything. You know what? You remember it used to be when there was 4-man rotations, you'd say, well, who's pitching? And then it was 5 guys, this guy, it's an opener, it's Eric Lauer. Now it's like, well, who do we got? We got Scherzer throwing. Do we got Cease throwing? Do we got Gosman throwing? Really, it's, and we haven't even talked about you. Savage starts the season injured. So how can you not get excited about this team? And I do love baseball more than other sports only because it's daily. So really it's hourly. So really it's in your head from the beginning of the season to the end. Hockey, you can take a break. Basketball, you can take baseball is pretty much, every single day. And on the day that you don't have it, you're going over the previous games. The other thing about baseball is game's over with. You've discussed it the next day. Now you're on to the next day. So you're not lingering over 3-4 days of, well, he made a terrible play. Let's show that replay for the millionth time in between two games, let's say, the Leafs have played. Baseball, it's like, forget about that. We got last night's game. We got another game to go over. And I like the cadence of baseball that way because I know that every day I'm going to be involved until November. And I'm in a fantasy pool too. So I'm of course I root for the Jays, but there's certain players I really like, no matter what teams they play for. I'm more of a players guy than I am a team guy. When I was a kid, I was I love the Leafs, love the Blues. Any other team I didn't care, but I really appreciate the players now. So where they go, I go. Like I like Kevin Durant. I don't care who he plays for. I just like the guy.
Houston.
Is that so bad?
I'm the same. I'm 100% the same. And I don't know why that is. It feels like that's a rare viewpoint that we have, but it is what it is. Listen, the viewers want your take on John Tortorella's return to the NHL, specifically with Vegas. What did you think when you heard the news, and how do you think this is going to turn out?
Yeah. Okay, I saw Vegas play the Islanders back earlier this season. I didn't like the makeup of the team at all. They got talent, but there was just no zip, no get up and go, no, just something about it. Did they tune Bruce Cassidy out? How many years can a coach for? How much wood does a woodchuck chuck? Until the players tune him out. The consensus is 3. right? 4-year contract, 3-year deal, 3 year of listening. And then by that year, the guys have tuned the guy out. So now Marner, for example, comes into this situation and he's got a team that's a good team, but they just, I don't know, for whatever reason, they're not listening to Bruce Cassidy anymore. And now he's stuck. I mean, right? Cassidy's trying to keep his job. The players don't like him. Maybe the environment in the locker room is just not, we can't play for this guy anymore. We've had it with him. So you bring in Tortorella on a shorty. He comes in, he yells, he screams, he makes like who he is. He says, you guys are a great team, right? And they make the playoffs and maybe they win a round or two. But yeah, I didn't like it. I thought, boy, this should be a better team. They should be a better team. And I guess the owner felt the same.
That's why they made the change, clearly. And that's the thing is, Hebsy, you've been doing this longer than I have. Not much longer, though. These guys like Tortorella are good short-term guys. They're not long-term guys, but they're good short-term guys. So how do you think it will turn out?
Look, the same as bonus with Columbus will. And gets into the playoffs, hopefully, and then just go. But other than that, we're not expecting a long-term deal. Although Rick Bone is healthy, and he would coach that team next year. John Tortorella, I don't know who he's set up for. Western Conference coach? What does he know about that Western Conference? I know he was on the NHL Tonight every night, so he certainly saw a lot of games. He's certainly up on the league and the players. He's very prepared, I think, to probably coach that team. And I guess Vegas realized that. Who's the most prepared guy to coach this team, other than the assistant coaches? And they said, you know what? We watch Torts every night. Guy knows his stuff.
Well, as you know, Hebsy, because again, you've been doing this a long time, those coaches that are on those panels, they love it because it keeps them in the game. They don't want to be broadcasters, but it gives them a reason to watch, right?
Well, sure, and they all have deals whereby they know, and whoever hires them knows that if they get a job offer, they can leave. Go ahead, and it looks good on their resume, and also the TV networks look good too because hey, there's our former colleague John Tortorella, right? Everybody's former colleague. So now you got an in with the guy, right? You're rooting for the guy. You sat next to him on the anchor desk, or you watched him on the NHL Tonight. Same with all these. I guarantee you, every former NHL coach, probably every former player, if they got offered a job to coach, to go from the TV booth to coaching, they would all do it. They all did it. Eddie Olczyk did it, right? Rick Tocchet did it. I mean, think about Bruce Boudreau. Every guy is on TV, and then he's coaching.
I want to, there's viewer questions for you. There's a ton, but I want to ask you something. I will get to the book in a second. I didn't know that you'd worked in Montreal for the amount of time that you had. So when you see the Habs doing well like they are, how does that make you feel? Because that's quite a town. That's quite a hockey town.
Love them. I have to tell you, my friends, when I was growing up, we were Leaf fans. They hated Montreal. I hated them. I'm like, how could you hate this team? How could you hate the elegant Jean Béliveau or Henri Yvon Cournoyer? How could you hate this team? How could you hate Larry Robinson and Steve Shutt and Lafleur? That's the ugly pugilists like the Philadelphia Flyers or the big bad Bruins, they didn't, so how could you not? So I always, they were like my second favorite team. I always wanted them to do well. Plus, I had friends who played for that team. Mark Napier, I grew up with. Steve Shutt grew up around the corner from him. So that's where you have your loyalties, but also, like I say, there's players, guys you like, players no matter where they go. And Montreal, to me, was just such a good team and so much fun to watch and so explosive that I wish them all the best. I hope they do well. If the Leafs can't, I hope it's Montreal.
I'm 100% the same with a lot of here in Florida. The Panthers and Lightning fans are really starting to hate each other. I'm like, 5 years ago, you guys loved each other. Can we not all get along? Yeah. But what was it like being in Toronto for years, not hating the Habs? I'm kind of fascinated, actually, because you would be rare.
Yeah, I know. I have friends. I know fans, and this is the type of fan they are. They, of course, want their team to win, but they get much more satisfaction when their bitter rival loses. So I had friends of mine that, Leafs won, that's great, but Montreal lost. And they're in their glory, right? Because they're dancing around in front of their Montreal friends going, nah, 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 like stuff like that. So to me, it's more the power of hating a team is greater than the power of loving your team. You want them to lose. It gives you greater satisfaction when your bitter rival loses.
I'll tell you this, it's great for business. When the Lightning
You
and
bet.
Panthers hate each other, it's great for business. It's great for guys like you and me. Which, speaking of, how has this changed your life, Hebsy? Everybody I know has got a copy of it, so it's clearly selling well.
Yeah.
How's it been for you?
Yeah. It's been a real adventure. When I speak to people, groups, banquets, whatever meetings, I decide like what part of the book am I going to tell them about? And usually it's the Gretzky one. He sweats all over me, and it seems to resonate with people. Because I ask people, I say, have you ever met Wayne Gretzky? And a lot of people have met him in some, at a charity event or whatever. And so I say, and most people have, and I say, have you ever noticed how much he sweats? And how many people go, yeah, you're right. He sweats a lot. And I go, and that's the first chapter of the book. It's called The Great Sweatsky. So telling them the stories to audiences is a lot of fun. And then afterwards, meeting them and taking a picture with them and signing the book and all that is great too. Best, of course, is when someone writes a review for all to see, right? Not just me. It's nice to, but when they write a review, a Google review or an Amazon review, that goes such a long way because perfect strangers are like, I've been looking for a book and this one. I like the comments on this one. That looks like my kind of book. I didn't even know who this guy Mark Hebscher is. I never been to Toronto before. This looks like an interesting book. So that's what you need. You need people who wish your path have no R to find out about the book. So that when they write reviews, and I see a review from some stranger who bought the book on Amazon, for example, I go, wow. Like, I wonder if they read it all in 2 days or I wonder how much they loved it or if they went, ooh, this is my kind of thing. So it's really exciting to see that feedback.
Okay. Well, hey, that's where I will write my review then is you tell me where I should put it because I've got thumbs up on it. But it's funny because I said to Hebsy, I read it this weekend. You said, what took you so long? It's not a big It's a hearty book. We only got 2 minutes. Kirk in Toronto would like to know if you could update us on how Bob McCowan is doing, the legendary Bobcat. Fadoo.
Yeah. I don't speak to Bob, but I know from a good friend of his that he's not doing so well, right? The guy is trying to recover from 2 separate strokes. And the last I heard was, he is managing. How well, I'm not sure you would know from anybody, but he hasn't been on the airwaves, and so naturally you think if you don't see someone on the airwaves or on a YouTube channel that things aren't well. But I haven't heard anything more than that, and I hope he does well. He was my mentor, and the most entertaining sports personality in this I think this country's ever seen.
Wow. Heedy praise for sure. All right, Hebsy. Well, I'll handle this. Well, we have 1 minute with you. Do you want to do the pitch where people can get your book?
Yeah, look, Amazon's really the best place. And just write a review on Amazon. The reason is that if you buy it from Amazon, you're a verified purchaser. Whereas if you random person go, well, who is this? Or maybe they're just trying to pump up Mark Hebscher. Maybe he paid them to. No. So legitimate. So if I purchase it now when they post that, people go, oh, I'm looking for a book of sport. What's this? And so Amazon's the best place to write a review. It could be one sentence. Enjoyed the book, highly recommend it. Or, piece of crap, don't buy it, no stars. I prefer to do that, of course. It's amazing how that spurs sales. And I don't care what the product is. If people say that's good, other people are going to go, well, I got to try that.
All right. Thanks, Hebsy. Let's do it again soon. Hopefully his internet's working when we do. We'll be right back on Silver State Sports and Game Plus Television.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Monday. We have a new record. We've set a record. It's Monday, and I'm ready for the weekend already. And it's nothing to do with the Hebsy interview. Listen, the guy is so gold that when you get him on, it was fantastic anyways. It was all good. No. It's what I'm seeing on social media. I feel like when I'm done this show today, I'm turning my phone off for the rest of the day. Plus, everybody's asking, how the trip to New York was this weekend. It was great, but I picked up a bug. So, listen, I've done 1,700 of these shows, thousands of hockey and football games and baseball games. I'll be fine. I'm playing a little hurt today. You know that when your throat's on fire and your eyes hurt, that's what I got today. That, and then this meme going around, John Cooper in Tampa Bay, I guess. It is kind of funny, the quote, the Lightning coach, questioning a penalty for Eric Cernak, his defenseman. It says, what's going on in this league? Why does everybody have feelings all of a sudden? You're not supposed to have feelings. Thank God I don't have any. But it took me a long time to get here. And then this whole thing, George Peros is going to the game at Anaheim. Bruce Cassidy spotted at the Toronto airport. Oh, my, as were 2 million other people today. Holy Murphy. Here is the news of the day. Montreal Canadien goaltender Jakub Dobeš has been named the NHL's first star of the week. Dobeš appeared in 3 of the Canadiens' 4 wins last week, stopping 100 of 104 shots. That ain't bad. Boston center Pavel Zacha was named second star after putting up 5 goals and 3 assists in 4 games. And Anaheim defenseman John Carlson had 7 assists in 3 games to earn third star honors. The NBA stretch run has arrived. Entering today, only 9% of the regular season remains to be played. The 5 teams in each conference that won't be going to the play-in or the playoffs are already known. So the focus shifts to seeding for the 20 teams that are still alive. Tonight's slate includes games with a tiebreaker and play-in implications, plus a Lakers game without Luka Doncic because of a suspension. Detroit, Boston, Oklahoma City, and San Antonio have playoff spots secured already. Yes, we're keeping our eye on the NBA, but the hockey is and will always be our focus. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says Cassidy is probably in Toronto to look into being a guest panelist for Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course. I think part of the reason I'm ashamed to read these things is I was one of those ones fanning the Flames back in the day, so I get it. I get it. I totally get it. By the way, you know when you have that small flu bug, you got brain fog. I'm a little there right now. So I can't remember how this came up. Maybe it was the Leaf thing. I'm not sure. Oh, Scott in Vancouver writes that he goes, jealousy. Same with the Yankees and the Cowboys. What he's referring to, I think, is teams. It's one thing to want your own team to win, but you're even happier when your rival loses. It's a great comment by Hebsy. And Scott says, jealousy. Same with the Yankees and Cowboys. That's true, but I try to listen. I talk a lot, but I try to listen even more. I remember a couple Fridays ago, I asked Mike Davis on this show, a football guy, which NFL team has the most pressure year in, year out. And he, without even thinking, he said Dallas. So think about this for a second. Cowboys have the most pressure in the NFL. The Yankees have the most pressure in MLB. I just came from there. And the Leafs have the most pressure in the NHL. And the team for which I was the voice of for 20 seasons, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, have the most pressure in the CFL. That's the other side of it that people don't see. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun for a while to be doing something that matters so much to people. It really does. But it is hard to be there long term because it means so much to people. I don't think Jerry Jones feels it. I'm pretty sure Cashman, the Yankees general manager, feels it. Oh, there ain't no much doubt about that. Ask the Leaf guys if they feel it. And maybe Jerry does. I don't know. I've never talked to him about it. But yeah, you get the high profile. But what goes with it? The pressure. There ain't a lot of pressure here in Florida. And that's a good thing. There's getting to be pressure in Vegas, though. And we'll talk more about the Golden Knights' future under Bruce Cassidy when we come back. Sports Update is for the Ultimate Fan Zone in Moose Jaw. Your team, your colors, your gear. Get it all at Ultimate Fan Zone or ultimatefanzone.ca. We'll be back with overtime after this.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Okay, welcome back for Overtime, everybody. We got some good stuff to get to here. Hey, Brent in Florida, welcome back. Where you been all day? He's got some thoughts on Bruce Cassidy being fired in Vegas. But Overtime is brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. I'm excited for Calgary with your new rink. I saw the guys got a tour of it the other day. It looks amazing. Great hockey town. Great things like Overtime Hockey Lanes are in hockey towns like that. If you're looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot, look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes. State-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. I'll tell you what, so many of our viewers live outside of Calgary and say, God, we wish we had a place like that. So you people in southern Alberta, go check it out, 28th Street Northeast Calgary, and appreciate what you have in your own backyard. 28th Street Northeast Calgary, Overtime Hockey Lanes. Brent in Wellington, Florida says success seems to be Cassidy's demise. One in Boston and got fired. One in Vegas and got fired. Yeah, I don't think he likes it, but he gets it. All I'll say is he gets it. I haven't talked to Bruce Cassidy. I've talked to people who have talked to Bruce Cassidy. He gets it. He wasn't winning. It is a, if you ever need any more proof of, it's a what have you done for me lately business. By the way, we're talking about the NBA play-in, which I think is a wonderful idea. But Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes, and he says, I wonder when the NHL will start doing the play-in. They're not, unfortunately. Gary Bettman said last year at this time, he said, our stretch drive is the play-in. They're happy with it. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that don't like Gary Bettman's steadfastness on the positive, stubbornness, another way. We're not changing the playoff format. We're not changing anything. I don't think they need to. I like Gary. Tony in Cochrane writes, he says, coaches are like tires. They get changed every 50,000 miles or earlier if excessive wear. Right? But it sucks to be the tire. Here are the picks. We do it for Pump Jack's Cathedral and Pump Jack's Steakhouse if you're looking for a place for lunch or supper. Or in between, I like to call it lupper. Pump Jack's is the place to go. Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early and stay late at the place where friends meet. 5 in the NHL tonight. Pittsburgh at the Islanders. I'll tell you what, I was just at Long Island Saturday. I wasn't even out of the building yet, and they were already talking about the Penguins. Pittsburgh will win this one tonight. Sorry, Islanders will win this one tonight. Calgary at Colorado, Avs. Vancouver at Vegas. Need we say it? If there was ever a lock of the night brought to you by Masters Lock, it's this one, Vegas to win. Toronto at Anaheim. The Ducks will win. George Peros is going to be there. Ooh. It's like the teacher standing between the two desks of the two. Nothing's going to happen other than the Ducks winning. And St. Louis at San Jose. Sharks are turning it around. That's what we hear anyways. That's our picks. You're invited to play along. Brought to you by Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon. Laverne in the Frontier City writes in and says, Vegas will be John Tortorella's 6th team coaching since 2001. That ain't bad. Scotty Bowman's coached a lot of teams too. Scruffy last hour said he's becoming the Mike Sullinger of the coaching fraternity. For those that don't know, Mike Sullinger holds the NHL record for playing for the most teams with 12. A good friend of mine, Silly, always said, hey, 11 teams didn't want me, but 12 teams did. That's the way you got to look at it. Where else was I? Max in Toronto, watching on Game Plus TV, writes in, he says, Roman Polak once said there was more pressure in St. Louis than Toronto, because in Toronto, the ownership doesn't put the same amount of pressure on the players to win. That's one man's opinion. I would dearly love one day to sit down with Paul Maurice and just say, hey, okay, between us, and we'll keep it between us. What's wrong in Toronto? And for that matter, what's wrong in Winnipeg? He would know because he's coached in both places and didn't win in either, but won Stanley Cups multiple here in Florida. That's the only thing. Once you realize you weren't the problem, nice way to live. Tomorrow, Mike Richards is going to be with us, by the way, as we continue our tour of iconic Toronto broadcasters. Hope you enjoyed the tour of Mark Hebscher's basement, by the way. What do you think, producer Corey? Was that his basement or his upstairs? Clearly, that was his basement. Okay. Clearly, it's where his Vic router was. Did I mention I'm ready for the weekend yet? We got through it. All of us together here. Did our picks. Talked about Tortorella. We got the poll. We introduced a brand new sponsor, Country Thunder, the biggest party of the year, coming to Saskatchewan in July. Vote on our poll. Will John Tortorella save the Vegas Golden Knights? I'm voting yes. 73% of you, however, voting no. If you're sick of March Madness, it's almost over. You might want to get into it for a week because it's pretty exciting now. Utah Darren, thanks for hanging in with us today in Utah, Darren. He says, for no pressure on the NHL, come to Utah. We're just happy if we don't suck. Right? That's the thing. What do you want? What do you want? Yeah, I think that's covered it. So we'll get to your questions and comments left over tomorrow. Mike Richards will be with us in Scruffy again. Thanks today to Scruffy, Mark Hebscher, producer Corey and his crew, and most of all you, because without you, there's no us. Take care of yourself, most importantly, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow here on the RP Show.
Good.